Meet your everyday wealthy man in America, dressed from head to toe in designer clothes. From his mink coat to his properly shined Valentino shoes, he lives an unquestionably hard life. He starts his day off by waking up in his Michael Amini Cortina traditional queen sleigh bed to realize he has lost his phone in a sea of silk pillows imported from Spain. After the treacherous search for his phone, he struggles to maneuver miles to the edge of his bed, where his slippers lie next to it on the floor. He then slips his feet into them and travels all the way from his bed to his newly remodeled bathroom, where his waterfall shower fails to heat up instantly, so he's forced to wait. But even greater troubles await him. His maids have failed to turn on the heated floors, and he is met with a painful shock when his feet step out onto a frigid marble floor. He fears hypothermia may soon set in until he gets to the plush carpet of his bedroom. After he is cleaned up and dressed in his new clothes that unfortunately have a wrinkle in them, he wanders down too many staircases to count in order to get to his kitchen where his breakfast should be waiting for him. Once he arrives, he comes to the shocking realization that he will have to go out of his way to pick up breakfast this morning, since his ungrateful butler took the day off to work at his alternate job to make ends meet. He then heads out to fulfill his duties as the unqualified CEO of a company that was handed to him by his father. He is forced to wait in the harsh 70-degree weather as his chauffeur pulls the limousine around his large driveway that is surrounded by a moat. Once in the vehicle, he informs the driver of his breakfast dilemma, and the driver immediately takes him to a cafe on the Upper East Side of town to order him breakfast. Sadly, when the chauffeur hands the man his breakfast, he realizes the eggs he ordered are cooked sunny side up instead of scrambled. He cannot eat this. As the limo pulls up to his place of work, he realizes that he will have to go hungry this morning. As soon as the man steps out of his limousine, he sees a poor beggar sitting near the entrance of his corporation, pleading for food. The sight brings a feeling of overwhelming sadness and despair to the CEO. It has reminded him of the time he had to foreclose on his second summer home in the Bahamas. He understands this homeless woman's struggle, he thinks to himself, as he passes by her and throws his uneaten breakfast into the trash. He enters the lavish building and promptly calls security to remove the unsightly bum from the front of his establishment. He then heads to his penthouse office, and once there, he begins to ponder. This is the fifth beggar he's had to remove this week, and it perplexes him. He knows that there are only a little over 560,000 homeless people in the United States, which is a fairly small number compared to his bank account, but it seems as if they've all been stinking up the space in front of his building lately. Thinking to himself, he realizes that the homeless people are actually the lucky ones. Sure, as part of the top 0.1% of Americans, he owns more than the whole bottom 90% put together, but that 90% is fortunate enough to not have to go through the painstaking struggles of the rich. They don't have to worry about all the misfortunes he deals with on a daily basis, such as worrying about having steak or lobster for dinner, or whether to be chauffeured in his limousine or Mercedes Benz. They simply just have to eat whatever's thrown at them. Heck, they don't even have a car. Snapping back to his tragic, wretched reality, he prepares to tackle his duties as CEO. Today, he must sign a couple contracts that his middle-class, underpaid cubicle workers have already examined for him. Sometimes he must deal with his Monty Black Cruise Collection diamond-encrusted black ballpoint pen running out of ink. He stares at a Zenith Christopher Columbus watch, waiting for the magic hour of 5 o'clock. In order to pass the time, he decides some of his underprivileged workers need to go. He spends the rest of his time at work by firing his meager employees and researching what type of yacht he wants to purchase next week. Finally, the clock strikes 5, and he rushes out of the building. As he leaves the building, he glances at the spot where the homeless woman once sat and scoffs at all the disgusting trash she left behind.
Oh, how dare that obese eyesore!
He exclaimed as he stomped his way over to the greasy McDonald's bag and rotting cardboard box. After his tantrum over the garbage, he pondered to himself that maybe he had been thinking of things all wrong. Perhaps he was the lucky one after all. With a single tear in his eye, he realized that he's made forgot to take out the trash.